homelessness. Well, in the south of the county, Cambridge City Council are bidding for money to set up a special dual diagnosis team. Councillor Tim Bick, Lib Dem councillor who represents Market Warden area that has its fair share of rough sleepers. Tim, good morning.
Good morning, Paul.
It's fair to say, isn't it, there's a fair share of people, rough sleeping in that area?
There are. The City Council does a count annually of the number of people on a particular night who are rough sleeping, and this year that count was done in the middle of November, and they found 40 people out sleeping rough, which really was more than double the number on the same day the previous year. So we not only have a lot of people sleeping rough, we also find a huge increase in that right now.
Yeah, but even 40 is not a massive amount of people. We can help 40 people, can't we? Like we could help 20 in Peterborough, couldn't we?
Well, I think the interesting part of the number is that quite a lot of those people, 3/4 of them, were assessed as not engaging in any meaningful way with the services that were on offer.
Right, they don't want to know.
To that extent, I guess the story sounds rather similar to the one that the councillor in Peterborough was reacting to. The problem is really there, the non-engagement with services.
Why is there that non-engagement? Because we've had an officer on from Peterborough City Council this morning, and I don't want to. Many people were detrimental towards the message she was trying to put across, because there was lots of information, but it was delivered in such a way that it was gobbledygook, mind bending. Is that part of the problem, that we're not engaging in a simple enough way, or is it just that people don't want to engage?
No, I think there's something more fundamental than that. The biggest reason for people being out rough sleeping, out of this snapshot of 40 that was found in Cambridge, is what we call barriers to people getting into hostels. And most of those barriers are around addictions, in drugs and alcohol, or mental health difficulties. And these are either causing a massive alienation of people from getting involved with a structure or an institution, or are leaving them in a way where they can't conform to the necessary rules of people running these hostels. So the fundamental problem that I think needs to be given a lot of priority is how to help people with those addictions and those mental health problems while they're on the streets, so that they can get into the chain of getting first into hostels and then hopefully progressing into tenancies. Yeah,
you mentioned those problems, and a lot of people sleeping rough do have those problems. Would it ever be your thought to call the police on people who have these problems and are making a mess, as the councillor in Peterborough intimated he did do?
Well, I think that everyone has to, everyone is equal before the law, and if people from the people who are rough sleeping are breaking the law, then that they are open to sanctions. Of course they are, and no one's trying to sort of give them a free pass on that. But I think that the problem with just sort of applying penalties and punishment to this group is that probably doesn't achieve very much in the end. A night in a police cell to someone suffering from the various problems that they have is not actually going to make them any different when they come out again. And that's why I think, as well as ensuring they're equal in front of the law and they are subject to the police moving them on and punishing them if necessary, we're going to have to look at the treatment options.
Well, it's not going to help them, is it? It's not going to clear it up. It's just going to move it somewhere else, isn't it?
Exactly. So the fundamentals of this are, I think, about taking those services that get people rehabilitated away from addictions or treated from the mental health difficulties, taking those things out onto the street is really the fundamental way that we're only going to get a long-term improvement if we really tackle it.
Is that what you're trying to do, bidding for this money then?
Well, yes. I mean, I'm not running the council in Cambridge, but I am representing the ward in the centre of the city, which is most impacted, and I've been absolutely campaigning for this sort of help, getting these professional services out on the streets so that we can tackle the fundamentals.
Yeah, and where are we with that?
Well, the council has, and I've been quite critical. They've been slow about this, but they have got their act together, and they've made a bid to the government for £400,000 over a couple of years to create what will be called a dual diagnosis team, which will provide just what I've described. And I think we've just heard today that bid has been successful. So good news, we will have a big improvement in that area. The next problem, of course, is if we manage to be successful in addressing some of those problems, getting those people into hostels, then we're going to have to look at whether we have the space, enough space to deal with that in the long term. Do we have enough hostel spaces? Are we moving people through the hostel chain into proper tenancies fast enough? But that's the next problem I think we need to deal with.
It's good that you've got the money, though. That is brilliant news, isn't it?
It is very good news indeed, yes.
Yeah. Is there a danger you might become a magnet for homeless people then? Have you got to guard against that a little bit?
I think we have to guard against that, but the purpose of this dual diagnosis team is not an easy option. It's not a handout option. It requires, the immense commitment and willpower to change. And in a free society, we have to get that from people. We can't just round them up and lock them up and throw away the key. We've got to win their commitment to a lot of hard work and graft to get themselves out through their problems. So this is not an easy problem. This is not a giveaway as a palliative. This is something that really requires people to get their teeth into their own problems. So I don't see this as a magnet.
How soon can this dual diagnosis team get up and running, do you think?
I don't know the answer to that. I guess that we're going to have to recruit professionals, and that will take a few months. So sadly, we may miss the winter period. But the sooner the better, and I'd be hoping that we got this up and running in the first quarter of the year.
Tim, thank you for that this morning. Merry Christmas, by the way. Councillor Tim Bick, a Lib Dem councillor, represents Market Ward. You heard the news, breaking news this morning. They do have the money, this money they bid for to the government to set up a dual diagnosis team to help rough sleepers, homeless people in Cambridge. And that money's in place and has been secured. It'll take a few months to sort it all out, but there will be help on offer. And perhaps, the force of the law, yes, people have got to live by the law, but that's perhaps not the way to go.